Welcome to Church Girl Interrupted. I'm Church Girl, and thank God I was interrupted. A little heads up at the beginning of the show. I am not a Christian anymore. I did leave the church, kept the judgy vibe. But I'm not super bitter about my time in the church that I will tell you all about, because I feel like the church gave me my start as a stand-up comedian, you know? They let me do a lot of stuff on stage with a microphone, you know? It was pretty nice. So I did the whole, like, what's the deal with Jesus? Like, son of God or just really hot Israeli guy? Itama? So it's all good. But seeing that you have sort of have a connection to the word church, maybe I'm assuming that maybe some of you also were traumatized by religion growing up. Give me a woo if that's the case. Woo. Okay, a little bit. Okay, let's see what we got. Give me a woo if you're raised Catholic. Woo. Ooh, so excited. Protestant, anyone? Woo. Oh, yes. That does not sound fun. Islam? Yeah, woo! Are there more Islamic people? Please make my show more diverse. Yay! Give me a woo if you're Jewish. Just eat them. Okay. Oh, a couple more. Buddhist? Yeah, okay. Let me introduce my weird little niche of Christianity. I was raised an evangelical Christian. Are there any other evangelicals here? Maybe, maybe not. So evangelical Christians are a little bit like Protestants or Catholic, except that when they open their mouth, you want to punch them in the face. You might have seen us on TV. I don't know. And the fun thing about being an evangelical Christian is that you get to tell other people that they're going to hell. And they're always surprised. They're like, me? I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm going to heaven. I don't know. I don't make the rules. I guess I'm just lucky. I mean, of course, you don't go up to, like, random people in the street. You just go up to, like, friends or family, you know, especially if they're gay or lesbian, because how else will they know about a God of love? I have to tell them. So the only problem is that once you've told all these people that they're going to hell, and then you lose your faith, like I did, you kind of owe them a phone call. You know, you're like, hey, so... a little news flash for you. Turns out hell doesn't exist. You're actually fine. And they're like, oh, really? No shit. I'm like, I know. Was I like so weird back then? And they're like, it was last week. Like, I'm such a Gemini now. They're like, oh, I thought astrology was from the devil. And I'm like, no, the Bible is bullshit, but star signs are even more ancient and there's even less proof. So obviously I'm a fan. So this is normally the little introduction that I give people when I tell them that I used to be like a crazy Christian girl. And if that's not convincing enough for them, this is the anecdote I tell them. Okay, so it was September 2003, and I was meeting with my brothers and sisters of Christ to come to Berlin to do street evangelism. Now, I don't know if you know what this is, but it's a little bit like street theater for Jesus. It's like a flash mob from hell. And the purpose is, you've guessed it, to tell other people they're going to hell. And it's so fun. It's so fun. And it's very important to me that you know that we were cool Christians. We were not lame Christians. We came from a cool church. You know, we had, like, you know, electric guitars and drums, you know, super homophobic, but like cool music, you know, Jesus rocks. And so we tried to be edgy because, you know, we knew we were in Berlin. It was before I moved here. And so we went to Kreuzberg at 10 p.m. at night. And our leader, he was like this tall 25-year-old guy with a mohawk. He had brought a megaphone and a chainsaw. Yeah. I'm not kidding, unfortunately. And so, you know, the Berliners, they were just like sitting in the cafes, minding their own business, having a beer, you know, after a hard day of work. And then our leader gets there. He revs up the chainsaw and takes the megaphone and shouts at people, "You are all gonna die. Death is upon you." And that was our cue to stand up from wherever we're sitting and drop to the floor because, you know, dead, you know, dramatic for Jesus. And then our leader started pacing the plaza and started shout preaching at the people. You know, we're all going to die, but it's okay. Jesus died for our sins. He's here to bring us eternal life and peace. Nothing super peaceful about our presentation, but, and we were still lying on the floor. So I don't know if this has ever happened to you, that you put a lot of thought about how to get into a situation, but not how to get out of it again. So that's kind of what happened. So we were still lying on the floor. The guy was done preaching, and nobody wanted to talk about Jesus. The Berliners were all very confused. They were like, is this a terrorist attack? Is he having a mental breakdown? Should we call the police? And yes to all of that, of course. And so all we could do was just like awkwardly get up of the floor and then be like, so you come here often? Do you want to talk about Jesus? No, yeah, no, I get it, totally. And then we just like awkwardly move away. It was so embarrassing. I think even Jesus was like, what the fuck, guys? I'm trying to rebrand and be cool, appeal to the masses. What is this, Christian chainsaw massacre? I don't know. Cringe, guys, cringe. So yeah, this was like the story that I was always too embarrassed to tell anyone until I started stand-up, and now it's good fun. So that brings me to the next obvious question. Are there any atheists here tonight? Give me a woo. Oh my God, so many happy atheists. Hi, guys. First of all, I want to apologize because I heard that the biggest cause of atheism is Christians, and I am so sorry. I feel so responsible for having sent you on that dark and lonely path. I don't know, like, is it, but it's fun. Is it fun? What is it like? Like, what is it like to wake up in the morning and not have a soul? Is it like, so, is it, do you guys listen to soul music, but to you it's just music? Do you see like soul food and you're like, guys, it's just sweet potatoes. Yeah, calm down. Or like soulmates, no Tom, stop texting. We're just good friends. No, I love atheists. I used to have so many discussions with them, obviously, just like super annoying. So I don't know, I have a soft spot for them. In my mind, atheists always, wear like leather jackets and have a French accent and smoke a cigarette, you know? And they're like, hey, do you want to come back to my place and talk about science? I'm like, no, I hate math and your French accent is terrible. I think it's cute because in Germany, like, atheists is obviously the majority, but the atheists here, they still kind of pretend like they're this rebellious minority, and I think it's so cute, right? I'm like, oh my God, are you so oppressed by all these religious holidays? Yeah? Is it so rough to have a sleep in against your inner convictions? I'm so sorry. The thing is, like, atheists aren't like edgy anymore. People pretend that they were like, but they're kind of more like Metallica, They used to be edgy, but they cut their hair in the 90s and now they're on H&M t-shirts. And it's like, no, guys, you're mainstream. I'm sorry. But I feel like a lot of atheists aren't even real atheists. I found that out over the years. They're just not totally sure how to spell agnostic, so it's just like... A lot of you will be relieved to know that I'm not just going to talk about God. I also want to talk about my heroin struggle. Yeah, I'm writing an autobiography right now about the struggles of a white middle-class heroine, me. Yeah, this is a grammar joke. I also have a degree in linguistics that I'm not doing anything with. No, but I want to talk about the burdens of the white middle-class women because, we struggle too. And I see you sisters out there. It's rough. Oh, that was too much. We don't struggle that hard. But, like medium struggle. Growing up, like, I never stood out in class pictures. I also had a really severe allergy to Himalaya salt. And only like 23 shades of lip gloss look good on me, so, it has been rough. You deserve more. Thank you, I agree. Yeah, and speaking of white middle class, unfortunately, I'm also German. Let's talk about it. It's not easy being German because nobody really likes us, but also history would be so boring without us, you know? It's like, and also, I'm a German comedian, which for some people is like the ultimate paradox. But I'm trying. I'm also trying to do German comedy. I go back and forth. It's a bit of a toxic relationship. I'm always just about to give up. But my German friends always try to pull me back. But making Germans laugh, guys, it's really my Mount Everest. It's my Waterloo. I don't know. It's hard. It's hard. And I respect all the German comedians. And so some of my friends were like, they try to convince me to come back. And they're like, we went to this comedy show the other day. You would have loved it. It was amazing. And now if you're white and middle class, in Germany, and you say that you went to go to see comedy, that normally means you went to see something called a political cabaret. Yeah. And it's a little bit like stand-up, but without the joy. It's kind of like slam poetry, but with a lot of facts. It's kind of like a newspaper article with a microphone, and Germans love it. They love it so much. They don't necessarily go there to laugh. They just kind of sit there and it's like, I like his opinion because it's my own. They're like, correct. And then they have such a good time. They have a little orgasm in their pants and they go home and like everybody's happy. So I made fun of my friends for going to see cabaret. And they were like, no, Freddi, it was this amazing night. This guy was on stage for 3.5 hours. And for 3.5 hours, he gave us his biting social criticism, and he told us why we as humans are egotistical monsters, and we're gonna drag this beautiful planet down into the abyss with us. And after 3.5 hours, months, years, because everything that is long must be good, we went outside to the street and we just wanted to shoot ourselves in the head. It was so amazing. I was like, no, that does sound like a fun evening. I don't know. You know, this whole thing of Germans not having a sense of humor, it's not true. We're having a great time as long as somebody wants to shoot themselves, right? Oh. Don't be like that now. But it's true, like I think about it a lot, like the German sense of humor and like what is going on with that. There's something in Germans that they just enjoy being made to feel bad and guilty. And like, why is that? I mean, we know why, but is it ever gonna stop? And I think it's the same gene that also makes Germans enjoy topics like environmentalism and recycling so much, you know? Because it's so easy to fail on a daily basis. You know, Germans are like, oh man, I just did such a bad job, you know, separating the trash today. I'm just a terrible citizen. And they feel really bad inside, but they're also a little turned on because they did something naughty, you know? They're just like, just that the threshold is super low in this country. They're like, officer, watch me litter. I'll turn myself in if you put me in handcuffs. And that made me think, like, maybe there's a great idea for new German sex clubs. You know, you repurpose waste separation facilities. You charge money at the door to have Germans watch trash being sloppily recycled. And it does something to them, you know. They start and look, and one person sees, you know, the orange peel in between those glass bottles, and he's just like, oh my God, I can't hold myself back. It's too much. And then, you know, the yogurt cups where someone forgot to separate it from the paper shell, and the other's like, oh, this is too sexy for me. You know, and the first person jumps in, others join them, you know, they just start recycling, just feeling better about themselves already. Just like, you know, it all turns into like this kind of foam party from the 90s, and, you know, everybody joins them, like just like letting loose, doing what they love. And eventually it turns into this orgy, a very dirty orgy that slowly gets more and more clean. Did you just raise your hand? Oh, you were snapping. I was like, I'm not going to take questions now. Okay, cool. Please don't confuse me like that. Oh, gosh. You like clean orgies? Well, you haven't been in Berlin for very long, have you? But no, honestly, I don't actually know anything about sex club. I've been in Berlin for 14 years. I've still not been to a sex club. I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm sure all of you have. But for those who are not maybe familiar with the culture, because all of my international fans that will watch this video someday, just kidding. So like, obviously in Berlin, it's like a little bit of a different culture. It's not like the sleazy swinger clubs from the 70s that your parents might have gone to. Like the sex club culture here is just like for young people, it's like the techno kids. They dress really kinky. It's very exclusive. And, and there are dark rooms where unspeakably sexy things happen, apparently. Like one of the biggest ones is called Kit Kat, as you know. And I think what I don't like about sex club is that the people that go to sex clubs, they want you to know. Kit Kat is like my living room. I just feel so free there. It's just like, just see me having sex. It's just, mwah, it's beautiful, you know. It's like a sight for sore eyes. Just like watch me on drugs fucking a stranger. Just gorgeous. And I'm like, no, I don't want that. You know, I don't want your own opinion about your sex skills. I want like a critical customer review. Okay? I want someone to say, I went there, it was clean, I might come again. I think I prefer a sex club for people who are not so good at sex. I once saw a guy at an airport that had the t-shirt, I am an okay lover. And I was like, finally, honesty, you know? I'm like, this is the person that I want to go to a sex club with. And I think that would be fun, you know? Because I want your own humble opinion. I don't want your own ideas about it. Anyway, so I think that maybe a sex club for people who are bad at sex, that would be fun. Like, you know, the 1-star reviews. It was like, it was okay. And it would be like everybody has to dress really ugly. Everybody gets in and you have to stop right before anybody can come. And it wouldn't be called Kit Kat, we would call it Milky Way. Because that's the most unattractive chocolate bar. Yes, right? I think that's... Okay, there's discussion in the room. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's fun to talk about sex on stage, but I think people assume that it's because I'm like now super sexually liberated. I'm obviously not. You've heard a little bit of my story. For example, my favorite sex position, since you asked, is missionary. I like a missionary position. Full body contact. Who's with me? Okay, a couple of honest people. The others are liars. Cool. Where do you get your oxytocin from? Monsters. No, I love missionary position. It's also a little bit of a family tradition, I want to say. I don't know why you're laughing. My parents were missionaries. That's why I know. Do you all know what missionaries are? They travel to other places and tell people about Jesus. And growing up, I thought that sounded like a really cool job because travel, love it. Telling other people what to think, love it. I was like, I'd be such a good missionary, you know. And then I grew up and I realized that not everybody thinks that missionary is such a great job. So I tried not to mention it anymore. But it's hard, you know, because people always want to hear. But I learned quickly that your parents being missionaries is very low on the list of cool reasons why you're bilingual. Because as soon as they know that you grew up abroad, they always want to know the whole story, right? They're like, so where did you grow up? I'm like, actually in Africa. They're like, really, where? I'm like, in Sierra Leone. They're like, oh my God, did you like it there? I'm like, I mean, yeah, because diamonds are a girl's best friend, right? And they're like, what did your parents do there? And I'm like, well, they travel and educate people. And they're like, what? They're missionaries? That's horrible. I'm like, I know, it's not my fault. It's not, guys, it's not. So I think it's problematic, but also, obviously, it gave me a bilingual childhood, which has opened a lot of doors for me. I'm not going to lie. And it is the reason that I have this strange American accent today. I know, I lived in Africa. That's why I have an American accent. Makes sense, right? I think that makes me African-American? No, we had American neighbors, and I played with the girls. They were also missionaries. They also came to save Africa. We were there to save Africa. Everyone is trying to save Africa, and we did such a great job. That's why it's doing so well. Yeah. Sometimes I try to talk to my parents about it, like if there's any like critical thinking on their part, like white people going to Africa, giving people a religion that they never asked for. But my parents are like, no, man, I don't know. It was like the 80s. People weren't really woke or PC in the 80s. I don't know. It was like, wild stuff happened. Cher was dating Tom Cruise in the 80s. Can you believe that? So, I don't know. Things are just different, Coke was practically legal, and climate change just meant, oops, the sun came out. So I don't know. I can't change my parents, so I just have to take an anti-racist stand myself. I'm trying that. I decided not to have white babies, for example. I'm not going to have any babies, but specifically not white babies. Because, I don't know, people don't even want to adopt white babies anymore. Didn't you know that? And I agree. Like, how would people know that I have a very complex and compassionate personality if I adopt a white baby, right? That makes no sense. Maybe I should mention, I'm not a racist, so I just want to make that super clear. If you don't believe me, you can check my phone later. I only use darker skinned princess emojis, so, they said you couldn't fight racism. Well, I disagree. I think this world could be a better place if only we used our phones a little bit more. All right. So enough of the intro. Let's get to the topic that we're all here for. The one area where I think we all agree religion fucks up the most, and that is sex, sexuality, sexual education, right? And I tried something that is called no sex before marriage for a long time. And as I grow older, I meet a lot of people that are like, rationally thinking people that find that concept super weird. And they're like, why would you give up something so beautiful on a voluntary basis? And I'm like, okay. So I'm going to try to explain it to you as best as I can, okay? So the way the church sells it to you is as a tale of great romance, right? They say, here's this beautiful gift, sex, and if you wait long enough, it gets even more precious, right? It's this beautiful reward, and the more you hold back, the better it's gonna be. Like, you don't even think about it, and it's gonna be amazing. And if you're an athlete, you know that this is 100% true. You don't practice something, you don't practice, and suddenly you can do a pirouette, right? That's exactly how it is. And that's what they tell you about your wedding night, right? You don't even think about sex, it doesn't exist. And then on your wedding night, as soon as God has said, okay, you and your partner are gonna lock eyes. You're both gonna orgasm at the same time. In the background, a lily blossoms. There's lavender scent in the air. There's doves. It's magical. And growing up, I was like, oh my God, that sounds amazing. I want that too, right? Unfortunately, I stumbled pretty early. I really disappointed God. I had sex with my first boyfriend when I was 16, like a whore. And I don't know what your experience. Does anyone else had sex at 16? Would anybody like to share? Would anybody like to share? Yeah, in the background, of course. On a scale from 1 to 10, how good was it?
Oh, pretty terrible.
Yeah. Like a 2, a 3? Yeah, that's like the average that I'm getting for women all over Europe as I've been touring this show. No, seriously. Men are normally like, no, yeah, it's actually pretty good. And so for those of you who didn't have the privilege, if you need a visual, 2 people having sex at 16 for the first time is a little bit like 2 people playing video games for the very first time, okay? It's just like, which one am I? Why are there so many buttons? What, game over already? But I haven't even started yet. So all that to say, it wasn't great. It wasn't terrible. It was not good. And I thought it was my fault because I didn't wait long enough, right? And I was like, oh no, silly me. I'm going to be a good Christian girl, and I'm going to wait a really long time to have sex again. And I did. And I waited another 16 years to have sex again. I know. Thank you for laughing about my terrible life choices. See, pay respect. No, but this is like, I'm glad that you're laughing because this is also a show to make you feel better about your 20s, Like, if you're like, oh man, I feel like I really didn't live it up, like, No problem. Just think about me. And you'll sleep really sound tonight. No, this is also therapy for you. That's why you have to pay, I thought I didn't have sex for a long time. And it was, I was really single. Not like today people say, oh, I've been single for like 2.5, weeks or whatever. And it was difficult, but I had some help. Jesus helped me not have sex. He's very good at that. He helps a lot of people not have sex. And whenever a guy would come up to me, Jesus would be like, stop. And then he'd turn to me and be like, Freddi, your body is a temple, and I don't think the guy wants to go in there to pray. I was like, Jesus, really? You think that guys are lying? Do men lie to get sex? That is terrible. And Jesus was like, yeah, my dad really screwed up in that department. And but it's not just bad. It's not just bad. There's also a lot of advantages to not having sex for a long time, if you think about it. You don't have to deal with stupid condoms or contraception. That's great. No pregnancy scares. Yay. And also, you get kind of skinny because you're not eating all that fatty dick. So it wasn't all bad. But Jesus and I eventually broke up. He wanted a closed relationship. I wanted an open one. And I also moved to Berlin. And I broke my celibacy with a really hot Israeli guy. I was like, let's keep it in the family, It was a hot Israeli guy who hated God, though. So I was a real rebel at, 32. It was very cute. I don't know. I moved to Berlin. Things are different here. It changed me. There's a sex police. I don't know if you know this, but if you're not having sex, you have to leave the city. I was like, okay, guys. So dumb. I think one of the things that changed me and that softened me up a little bit is that I went to film school here. I loved it. I always loved movies, and film school was amazing because everyone there was just as arrogant as me. But I was still like this hardcore Christian girl. So I was leading a little bit of a double life, It was exhausting, During the week, it was all like existential art house. There's no answer to anything. And then on Sundays, it was the answer to everything is Jesus. Let's sing a creatively very dull pop song about Jesus. So I was like, I couldn't. It was a little bit of a mindfuck. And my classmates were all like, Freddi, on the weekends, let's go to the clubs, let's go to the dark rooms. And I was like, to develop film? They were like, yeah, let's see about all those shades of gray. And I was like, I think I'm okay with black and white. I was so afraid of the sex clubs. I was like, please, Lord, show me the Milky Way. The reason that I went to film school was that I wanted to be a storyteller, a really great screenwriter like God. I'm not saying we're the same, but we are colleagues now. I don't know if you've seen his stuff out there. There's some great stuff that he wrote, like The Passion of the Christ, Moses and the Ten Commandments, great comedy, and The Life of Brian. He never got credited, which is weird. So he's done a lot of like mainstreamy stuff. I'm a little bit more art housey, which means that people don't get it, and also they don't pay me. But hey. Oh, so many broken artist hearts in the room. So speaking of great storylines, let's talk about porn. So porn is another area in my life where the brainwashing went really deep. And I think to this day, I've never really watched porn before. I know. Who am I, the queen? That joke did not age well. Oh, you all forgot that she's dead? Oh my God. That is terrible. But have you ever thought about it? Do you think the queen watched porn? Right? Especially after Prince Philip died. She's alone in these big castles. She needs a little pick-me-up. I think like if she watched porn, she'd watch something really submissive, and she over-identifies. She's like, oh my God, not having any authority, that is so hot, Like servant porn or something. She's like, Elizabeth scrubbed the floors, and she's like, that's so hot. Hold my crown. No, but it's true. I never really watched porn. I don't know if it's like an aesthetic thing or if I'm just morally superior to you guys, but I think we can figure it out together. And I think that's the reason that I don't really get the appeal. I don't really understand what you get out of it because, okay, here's the best analogy I have. So I love watching cooking shows, right? While I'm at home in my own shitty apartment with my own shitty food. Is that what it's like to watch porn where you're on your own shitty sofa with your own shitty genitalia having your own shitty orgasm? I don't know. I did the social experiment once where on a dating app, I think it was Hinge, you have like these conversation prompts and you can add something to them. And it said, never have I ever. And then I added, never have I ever watched porn. I thought it would be like funny. Maybe they think I'm a prude, but it's true. So what the hell? And I've never gotten so many responses on anything I've ever written on an online dating profile. It was really weird because all the guys that wrote to me said, oh my God, I am so jealous of you. I wish I could go back to that place in my mind before I started watching porn. I'm not saying that's true for everyone. It was just the guys that wrote to me. But isn't that weird? Because, I mean, we know that porn is like $1 billion industry, right? And all these people were unsatisfied with the product. Do you know what makes that? It's a bad product, guys. It's not a good product. And I'm like, why isn't there porn out there that's like making people feel good about themselves, right? Where's like the eco-friendly porn, the organic porn, the cruelty-free free-range porn? Guys, where's the vegan porn? And at this point of the show, we have a word from our sponsors. Hello, and thank you for tuning into our program tonight. Before our time is up, I would like to advertise a special product to warm you in your cold and lonely nights. I present to you Christian pornography. Joining together film, religion, and sex in the very best way, wholesome erotica with family values. This DVD is for educational purposes only, so there's no ejaculation and no enjoyment. No scenes of adultery were filmed. Naturally, our actors are all married couples. And our audience is also, you've guessed it, married couples. Of course, our program won't display any forms of graphic nudity. We do provide Christian-friendly fetish categories, such as the turtleneck, the wetsuit, and the hijab for our Muslim brothers and sisters who may or may not end in hell. God be with them. Together with our team of biblical scholars, we have researched sexual positions that are both theologically correct and fun. For example, the Isaiah 69, the burning bush, and the slightly naughty "Get behind me, Satan." The dialogue will be kept to a minimum, especially since we do not encourage women to talk. However, there will be erotic poetry from our favorite chapters of the Holy Book. To order Christian porn, please call the number below or visit our website, cross.com. Please do not go to xxx.com. This is a different company. There have been mix-ups. And here you can order our best-selling videos, including titles like The Body of Chris, Come All Who Are Thirsty, and He is Risen Indeed. And now back to our program. Thank you very much. So, if anybody would like to invest some money, I think it is a great startup idea, and I think there are billions to be made, literally. I once heard. Oh, sorry. I once heard, like one of my friends heard about that I wasn't watching porn, and she was like, "Oh, Freddi, but there's so much different porn out there. I'm sure like you can find some that you like. There's like, female-friendly porn. There's feminist porn." And she sent me this link, and I clicked on it, and I watched it, and I really, really liked it, and I binged like the whole first season of Bridgerton. It was like, that Elizabethan soft porn. I was like, some people are into orgies. I'm just into two people in costumes, struggling with class issues. Some people are into gangbangs. I just want like two people not quite touching for 22 minutes. It's like, ooh, just suppressed feelings. I think that is my kink. Mine and the Queen's. All right, but back to my story in Berlin. So there I was. I had not dated in a long time, and I was thrown into the Berlin dating scene, which is, as we know, the Guantanamo of dating scenes. I had started with Jesus, the carpenter/furniture artist from Nazareth, and now I was on Tinder with Jesus, the tattoo artist from Barcelona. Who was also very good with his hands, A little Spanish Inquisition. I had so much to learn and to catch up on. I started on the dating apps, and I realized there is a dating app, and they could have called it Fantastic Cupid, and instead they called it Okay Cupid. Okay, Cupid, let's do this. They're like, we have a very mediocre product. It's you. And we're giving you out for free. What could go wrong, right? It's terrible. You do weird things when you're trying to date. You listen to jazz music. I didn't like jazz music. I was trying to date a jazz musician, because all the rappers on Tinder were gone. He once heard the joke and he didn't get it. And he was like, does that mean that people don't like jazz music? I'm like, oh, honey. How do I tell you? No, people love a piece of music that refuses to have a melody. But he was like a jazz drummer, and I was like, drummer, rapper, As long as he has good rhythm and is emotionally unavailable, that's my kind of guy. Also, communication in relationships and during sex is really hard. Like, one ex-boyfriend always asked me if I wanted slow sex or fast sex, and I just didn't know. I didn't know my body. I didn't know what I want, and I panicked. And I always said fast sex because I thought slow would make me sound like a loser, Because all the cool stuff in life is fast, like fast cars and fast food, and I don't know, slow cooked food is kind of like for weak people who can't take it, and so I always said fast sex. I never had an orgasm, but at least I didn't look like a loser. Orgasms are all about winning, guys. Yeah, so much to learn. I stumbled across the polyamorous community, or let me rephrase that: the polyamorous assholes ruining it for everyone. Do you know these people? They're on the apps. They're like, oh, I have a husband and a boyfriend, and on Tinder, I'm just for fun. And I'm like, Lisa, stop taking all the men. She's like, oh, you're doing monogamy still? That's so cute. Oh, it's very 19th century, isn't it? I'm like, there's one man for one woman. Otherwise, it doesn't work out. Scary stuff, guys. It's scary stuff. I also, I heard about the G-spot, just like from one day to the next, like all the magazines were full of articles about the G-spot, and I was like, oh my God, what is it? Where can I find one? Is it expensive? I don't know, I just didn't know. I don't know if you know this, but the G-spot was actually named after a German gynecologist, Gräfenberg. He discovered it. Yeah, it didn't exist before the 1940s. Yeah, he named it after himself. I know, yet another white man claiming territory that was very well explored before he ever arrived. And I think Gravenberg made it sound like really complicated to find it. Like this adventure quest, that only the very manly, the very brave can find. He made it sound like an Indiana Jones adventure, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Boom. And I think what he forgot to mention is that it's like right there. I mean, you can't really find anything else in there. You know, you can't even find a baby. Like, that's behind the next door. You know, it's just like, it's right there. It's right there. It's not hard. It's not hard at all. But the magazines were like, no, we want everyone on board. We're going to make it sound like a computer game. You know, we want the nerds to join the movement. And that's exactly what they did. They were like, level 1, you know, the hero crawls through the thicket of thorns. That's why women are hairy down there sometimes, to make the man feel a little bit more like the hero. Level 2, the hero reaches the heavily guarded gate and he needs a secret password to get in. The secret password could be something super simple like, oh my God, you're hot and intelligent. Woo, the floodgates open. Women are very easy. Level 3, the obstacle course, you know, flying diva cups and puddles of blood, and the hero has to jump and duck and shimmy and do a backflip. I don't know, every hero loves a backflip for some reason. And then the last level, the final boss, you know, some wandering enemy dick that the hero has to slay and kick out because this vagina is only big enough for one of us. And so he does it. He conquers them all. And then he finally reaches the Tower of G-Spot, you know, and finds Sleeping Beauty, Princess Gigi, who can only be awakened from her slumber with a touch of the tip with his double-edged sword, penis. And Princess Gigi wakes up and she's all excited because she thinks she's going to get off now. But the hero is so exhausted from all his adventures, he just wants to take a nap. And Princess Gigi is like, what the fuck? This is not fair. And so I think the way better metaphor for making a woman come and finding the G-spot is the careful building of the tower of Jenga. You know, you don't need strength, you don't need your fingertips, and you stack it higher and higher, ever so slightly, just inch by inch, just hoping and praying that you reach the top, you reach the top until it all comes tumbling down in the most beautiful game over there ever was in the history of mankind. Because that's the only adventure women really want. It's Indiana Jones and the Puddle of Joy. So I had a couple of wild years in the Berlin dating scene. Now I feel like I've calmed down again. You know, I've had my one-night stands. I don't want to have a one-night stand anymore. I'm kind of over it. Sorry to disappoint everyone. And I was thinking the other day, like, what's like the next sex-positive practice for the younger generation or the new generation? Like, if it's not a one-night stand anymore, is it maybe the one-night cuddle? You know, that dirty word intimacy? Because in Berlin, you can just go up to a stranger and be like, hey, do you want to fuck in the bathroom? And they probably will, because they're probably on drugs. But how about saying to somebody, hey, do you want to gently caress my elbow while I'm falling asleep? Yeah, try saying that to a stranger without starting to cry. Yeah, that's the fucked up shit. I don't know if you guys are ready for that. Yeah. So maybe it is the one-night cuddle. I don't know. I'm over 40. I don't want a one-night cuddle. I want a one-night massage. That's where I'm at. Are you good with your hands, Jesus? But one of the last times I had a one-night stand, I have to tell you the story. It's very funny. We didn't have sex at night, but I gave him a blowjob, but like in the bright morning light. Because if you're drunk at night, it almost doesn't really count because you'll forgotten it the next day, right? But if you want to scar yourself emotionally, here's what you do. So you do it in unflattering light with dry mouth and bad breath, right? Just me? Okay. So I was down there doing my thing. Struggling. You know, you've heard my story. I'm obviously not good at it. You know, I haven't had a lot of practice. So I'm like down there trying my best. I'm a nice girl. I try to please the man, you know. And I look up at him and he gives me the chin face. Have you guys ever accidentally opened your camera phone and scared the living shit out of yourselves? Because you look like a monster? Yeah. That is the angle. You're serving a very nice young lady trying her best, struggling but trying. So I'm down there, struggling. I look up, I get a scare of my life, and then the guy does the unthinkable. He reaches over and puts on reading glasses. Yeah, unfortunately, this is a true story. You know, total professor vibes. He's like, well. Well, I'm loving this view. And I'm like, don't give me a review. This is awkward. He's like, don't do such a rush job, young lady. Go over this area one more time. It's always the balls, isn't it? So, had I told you this story a year ago when I was a lesser comedian, I would have now used this opportunity to make the guy look bad in front of you. I would have taken a revenge on stage, made a dick joke about him because I have a microphone now. And he made me feel very uncomfortable. But I'm not that type of a comedian anymore. Yeah, I've matured, and I don't do dick jokes anymore. No, it's true. Thank you. Thank you. Because I think that dick jokes kill people. Yeah. No, I'm serious. If you think about it, the Taliban, KKK, school shooters, what do they have in common? It's all men that were hurt by a dick joke, and it made them sad inside. And so they went out to kill people because that is a lot of fun. Yeah. That's why I don't, I'm serious, guys. That's why I don't do dick jokes anymore. So how I'd like to end the story is by telling it as a beautiful tale of inclusivity. I was rendering sexual services to a person with disabilities because nearsightedness is a real thing and we need to talk about it. I was just trying to make this world a better place, one blowjob at a time. Obviously, I did not succeed. I'm not that good. You can probably understand that I lost my faith after all these terrible adventures I had in the Berlin dating scene. And people often ask me how that is that I lost my faith. I started as a very judgmental Christian, and now I'm a very judgmental agnostic, you know? Turns out it wasn't religion's fault. I'm just a terrible person. You don't lose your faith just like overnight, right? It's not something that you can just leave on a bus. It's just like, oops, where'd my faith go? You know, you can't go to the lost and found and be like, have you seen my faith? It's about 35 years old. It doesn't like to be asked a lot of questions. No, it's more like a journey. You know, it's a long, annoying journey on something like the U8 where something slowly dies inside you. Because at every stop, something so horrible happens, you know. You see child labor, aromatherapy with meth, a guy with a chainsaw. And by the end, you're like, no, I think I've lost all my faith in God and humanity. That's kind of how it went. It was a slow burn. So I lost my faith. I now worship the God of money, and boy, is he taking care of my emotional problems. Obviously, there are people also that find religion late in life, like my friend. She used to be like a cynical atheist, and now she's a sweet, sweet yoga instructor. She's super Buddhist. She's so Buddhist, her eyes are always half closed, because she's afraid her soul might escape, you know. And she wears a turban, but she's white. It's a little problematic. But I'm trying to be a good friend, so I go to her yoga classes. It's me and a couple of middle-aged women, my age, who are, you know, trying to survive somehow. And then a couple of 18-year-olds who still think it's all going to turn out okay. And so we do the yoga class. We're doing our woke booty stretches, you know, because it turns out Buddha was really into having fuckable followers. I don't know. Booties for Buddha is what the class is called. Transcendental tush. Bikini body with Bhakti Gita. And we come to the end of the class, and we're all very proud of ourselves because nobody has farted yet. And our teacher, my friend, turns to us, and she says, for the end of the class, I'd like to invite you all to sing with me the ancient Sanskrit chant of Om. No further explanation. I'm like, really, Cassandra? Are you sure? A Sanskrit prayer in a gym? Chanted by people whose enlightenment consists of not having looked at their phone in 22 minutes? Yeah? We're sitting in front of a pyramid of protein powder, okay? And I think you got your yoga license on Ibiza and not in India, so maybe instead of Om, we should be chanting un, dos, tres, un pasito. Honestly, what the fuck, right? It's horrible. Like, I just left the church. I didn't want another guru. We live in a modern democracy. People here have fought long and hard for the separation of religion and sports. Otherwise, what's next, you know? Like a soccer game, instead of cheerleaders, there's a round of hallelujahs, or a spinning class with some circumcision, or I don't know, a water polo game, and at the end we sacrifice a small child. Cassandra, would that make you happy with your holistic sense of spirituality? It made me so mad, this uninformed chanting at the yoga class. But the weird thing was, I kept going to the class. And I didn't really understand why at first. And then I just had to admit it to myself that I guess I wanted guidance in life. Like, I need somebody to tell me what to do. I was like, Cassandra, yes, help me. Give me all the clues you have. You know, I need that inner strength, that core strength to survive the Berlin dating scene. You know, there's so much temptation out there. I need you. Just give me anything and I'll pray to it. Blessed be the stairmaster. You know, I just wanted it. And I admitted that I liked the gym so much because it reminded me of church. You know, you can take the girl out of the church, but you can't take the church out of the girl, right? Have you ever noticed the parallels between the church and the gym? Yeah, like it both has like pretty bad music, but you kind of need it to power through. Or the church and the gym, you know, the motivation to go is to deal with your deep sense of self-hate and shame. And also, in both cases, people eventually stop going, but they're so afraid of confrontation, they keep passive-aggressively paying the membership until the day they die. Namaste. So, yeah, that was my story. Church Girl Interrupted. I don't know, sometimes people ask me, so you left the church, but do you still believe in God? And to be honest, I don't know. I don't really know if God exists. But I think if he does, he was probably the one who interrupted me because I wasn't really free. Thank you. That was my time.